Betfred, proud sponsor of the World Snooker Championship.
Well, what an intriguing final. Everybody connected with snooker is so excited about this one. I've dragged Michael McMullen, legendary Irish journalist, out of the press room. Michael, first of all, I guess, from a neutral's point of view, despite the fact that we were loving the runs from Gilbert and Wilson, a rerun of 8 years ago between Trump and Higgins is fascinating.
That was the best atmosphere I've experienced in 22 years at the Crucible on that final night. You remember it as well as anyone, Rob, how everyone just spontaneously got up on their feet and gave the players an ovation as they came in. And that atmosphere actually continued all throughout the final night. I don't think it was a case of either player crumbling under that. I think they both relished it on the occasion. So 8 years on, Judd back in the final. We've waited a long time for it, Rob, and remarkable to see that at the age of almost 44, John is there again to face him.
And he came through a monumental final frame decider against Dave Gilbert yesterday. Huge emotion from both men. How much do you think fatigue will play a part in the first two sessions? He's got to be tired.
He's got to be tired, and I think that showed early on in the semi-final because he had come through such an epic struggle against Neil Robertson. I've never seen John look so tired after a match as I did after yesterday's. But, you know, he's got the years of experience here. It's his 8th time in the final. Only Stephen Hendry's been in more. If anyone can deal with that, I think it is John. But you are right, Rob. It will be interesting to see early on if John is experiencing an element of fatigue.
And a question I asked John yesterday that he was unable to answer was, why, John, after such an average season by your own high standards, have you once again been able to produce your best on the most important stage? He can't answer that question. For some reason, he just clicks here.
Look around you, Rob. You know, this is what brings out the best in the great champions, and John is one of the greatest champions of all time. He's one of the 3 greatest players the game has ever seen, in my opinion. He goes back to 1998 as a champion here. I mean, think about that. That's 21 years ago. It was the first year I ever came here. I never would have imagined that after all this time, he'd still be as strong as he is. But you are right. This is what he does. He talks in the middle of every season now about how he's disillusioned with the game. He can't motivate himself to practice. Stephen Maguire and Anthony McGill have a lot to be credited for because he's practicing with them now on a regular basis. It's got him out of the house where he was sort of practicing but not really having the heart for it, and I think that's been a big difference for him, particularly towards the end of this season. We've seen signs that he's coming back to more like his usual self. The motivation is there, and here he is now in the World Championship final. It's hurt him really badly to lose the last 2 years. The chance now to be a 5-time world champion alongside Ronnie O'Sullivan, who people would say is the greatest player of that generation, that's going to mean a huge amount to John, and he's got a great chance in this final. But he's up against a man who, as we say, has waited a long time to come back here for the chance again to claim what most of us see as his destiny.
Yes, there will be pressure on Trump, most notably from himself, because he's using language like, I want to get the monkey off my back. He knows he's good enough to win a world title, but he has to deliver. Do you put him as the marginal favourite, partly because he's had such a good season?
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. I do. I would agree with every word you've used there. He is the favourite. It is only marginal, however, because, he has had this fantastic campaign. It's not just his results. He's just looked different. His attitude has been different. I think, again, the credit there goes to his brother Jack, who's travelled with him, and to the other Jack, Lazowski, his great pal, who's knuckled down a lot more this season. I think a lot of that has rubbed off on Judd. So this is his big chance. It's sort of form versus experience, isn't it? Because Judd's got the form from the season, but you come in here, it's a bit like Steve Davis back in the day. His experience had such an impact on, his World Championship performances, as John found to his cost at this very spot, actually, in the quarterfinals 9 years ago. So that's really the story of this final. Is it going to be the guy who's been there and done it 4 times before, or is it going to be the player who's had his best ever season, as underlined by the fact that if he wins, he'll be the first player to top £1 million in a single campaign. You don't do that without having had a brilliant campaign.
Great words, Michael. Thanks for your analysis. We cannot wait for this final to start. It is going to be absolutely electric in this famous old arena. Bring it on.
Betfred, proud sponsor of the World Snooker Championship.